He just tagged along and run. I'm certain
Oh, that's good. Yeah. She has experience already. Good.
Good timing with music, right? Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I really appreciate you choosing us over the football game. I know it's a hard choice sometimes. Talk music. Well, thank you for coming out tonight. We're all very excited to have you here tonight. A couple ground rules, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but I have to go over them. There can be no flash photography of any kind. It blinds my actors, and because of this setup, you might be blinding the audience on the opposite side as well. So please refrain from any flash photography. Likewise, the recording of the show is against federal copyright law, but I'm not going to police you, so just mum's the word. Now, in case of emergency, I've got exits on either side, clearly marked. If you need the bathroom, it's okay. Just go this way. My ushers will help you get to the restroom, help you get back to your seat safely, even in the dark. There are a few scenes that are very low light. I ask that you not walk around during that time because we all stumble in the dark. So please be careful if you have to move for an emergency, for any situation. Let's see, we talked about phones, emergency exits. I feel like I'm missing something.
Silence phones.
I didn't say that.
Yep.
Silence your phones. I can't ask you to turn them off because your programs are on the phones. We're trying to go green. But do silence them and dim the light as low as you can. Because, yeah, in the dark, it's really blinding. Thank you for coming out, and without further ado, as I'm stalling so that other people can get in, Madera High School Coyote Theater proudly presents Blythe Spirit.
In the dining room. Is that quite clear? Yes, sir. And when you're serving dinner, Edith, remember to do it calmly and methodically. Yes, sir. As you are not in the Navy, it's unnecessary to do everything at the double. Very good. Now go get the ice. Yes, sir. Not at O'Brien, Edith. Yes, sir.
No sign of the advancing horse?
Not yet.
No ice?
It's coming. I've been trying to discourage Edith from being quite so fleet of foot. You mustn't mind if everything is a little slow motion tonight.
I should welcome it. This week has been extremely agitating. What do you suppose induced Agnes to leave us and go get married?
The reason was becoming increasingly obvious, dear.
Yes, but no one cares about those things nowadays. She could have went to the cottage hospital, had it, popped out, and went out again.
Her social life would have been seriously undermined.
We must keep Edith in the house more.
That's right, Edith. Put it down on the table.
Edith, I left my cigarette case in my dressing table. Could you grab it for me?
Yes, sir.
There.
You took her by surprise.
A dry martini, don't you think?
Yes, darling. I expect Madame McCartney will want something sweeter.
We'll have this one for ourselves anyhow.
Oh dear.
What's the matter?
I have a feeling that this evening's going to be awful.
It'll probably be funny, but not.
You must promise not to catch my eye. If I giggle, and I'm very likely to, it will ruin everything.
You mustn't. You must be dead serious and, if possible, a little intense. Cannot hurt a girl's feelings, no matter how funny she is.
Why the Bradmans, darling? He's as skeptical as we are. He'll probably say the most dreadful things.
I've warned him. We must have more than 3 people for the seance. We couldn't have the priest and his wife because A, they're dreary, and B, they probably wouldn't have proved at all. Had to be the Bradleys. Thank you, Edith. Steady does it.
Yes, sir. Lovely, dry as a bone.
To the unseen.
I must say that is a wonderful title.
This evening's to be a success. I shall work on the first draft tomorrow.
How extraordinary it is.
What is?
Well, I don't know. Being right at the beginning of something, it gives one an odd feeling.
Do you remember how I got the idea for The Light Goes Out?
Suddenly seeing that haggard rattle woman in the hotel at Biarritz. Of course I remember. We sat up half the night talking about it.
She certainly did come in handy. I wonder who she is.
And if she ever knew, ever recognized the description of herself. Poor thing, here's to her anyhow.
Duff, have some more.
It's awfully strong.
Never mind that.
Did Elvira used to be a help to you? When you were figuring something out, I mean.
Every now and then when she concentrated, but she didn't concentrate very often.
I do wish I had known her.
I wonder if you would have liked her.
I'm sure I should. As you talk of her, she sounds enchanting. Yes, I'm sure I should have liked her. Because you know, I've never for an instant felt in the least bit jealous of her. That's a good sign.
Well, to begin with, I haven't forgotten Elvira. I remember her very distinctly. I remember her very tremendous attitude and her extreme magic. I remember her gay charm when she achieved her way over something, and her extreme acidity when she didn't. I remember her physical attractiveness, which was tremendous. And her spiritual integrity, which was nil.
You can't remember something that was nil.
I remember how morally untidy she was.
I wonder if I died, if you forget me so soon.
What a horrible thing to say.
No, I think it's interesting.
You won't die. You're not the dying sort.
Neither was Elvira.
Now that I think of it, she was. She had a certain ethereal, not of this world quality. No one can remotely call you ethereal.
Nonsense, she was of the earth. Earthy.
Well, she is now, anyhow.
You know, that's the kind of observation that shocks people.
It's discouraging to think how many are shocked by honesty and how few by deceit.
Write that down, you might forget it.
You underrate me.
Anyhow, it's more of a question of bad taste more than honesty.
Your first husband was a great deal older than you, wasn't he? I shouldn't like to think you missed out all along the line.
There are moments, Charles, when you go too far.
Sorry, darling.
As far as female psychology goes, there's a rather strong vein of it in you.
I've heard that said about Julius Caesar.
Julius Caesar is neither here nor there.
Well, good for all we know. What's Madame McCartney?
You're awfully irritating when you're determined to be witty at all costs. Almost naughty.
That's exactly what Elvira used to say.
I'm not at all surprised. I never imagined physically triumphant as she was entirely lacking in perception.
Darling Ruth.
There you go again.
As I think I've mentioned before, I love you, my love.
Poor Elvira.
Didn't that friendly hug mollify you at all?
You're really, really, really annoying. You know that? When I said poor Elvira, it came from the heart. You must have bewildered her so horribly.
Don't I ever bewilder you at all?
Never for an instant. I know every trick.
All I can say is we must get a divorce immediately.
Or put my glass down. There's a darling.
She certainly did have a great talent for living. It's a pity she died so young.
Poor Elvira.
That remark is getting monotonous.
Poor Charles then.
That's better.
And later on, poor Ruth, I expect.
You have no faith, Ruth. I honestly think you should try to have a little faith.
I shall strain every nerve.
Life without faith, Ruth, is a hurrah business.
How beautifully you put things, dear.
I aim to please.
I wonder if I died, you would marry so fast again.
That's a horrible thing to say. As I said before, you won't die. You're not a dinosaur.
Well, if tragedy should darken our lives, I shall still say, with prophetic foreboding, poor Ruth.
Probably the Bradleys.
It might be Madame McCarty.
No, she'll come on her bicycle. She goes everywhere on her bicycle.
It really is very spirited of the old girl.
Should I go meet her, or should we let Edith have her fling?
Wait a minute, see what happens.
Perhaps she didn't hear.
She's probably on one knee in pre-sprinting position, waiting for Cook to open the kitchen door.
There now.
Dr. and Mrs. Brandon.
Not late, Ari. I go back from the hospital about half an hour ago. Of course not. Madame McCarty even here yet.
Oh, that was the highway bus coming down the hill. I said I thought it was.
Then she won't be long. I'm so glad you were able to come.
We've been looking forward to it. I feel really quite excited.
I guarantee that Violet will be good. I made a promise.
There wasn't any need. I'm absolutely thrilled. I've only seen Madame McCarty 2 or 3 times in the village. I mean, I've never seen her do anything at all peculiar, if you know what I mean.
Bourbon, anyone? By all means. She certainly is a strange woman. It's only a chance remark of the 3 senior on the knoll. Midsummer's Eve dressed as some sort of Indian rose that made me question she was a psychic at all. Then I began to make some inquiries. Apparently she's been a professional here for years.
It's funny, isn't it? I mean, anybody doing that as a profession.
I believe it's very lucrative.
Do you believe it, Mrs. Conaway? Do you think there's anything really genuine about it at all?
I'm afraid not. But I do think it's interesting how people easily allow themselves to be deceived.
But she must believe it herself, mustn't she? Or is this whole business a fake?
I believe it's a fake. Real professional charts. That's what I'm hoping for now. I'm writing a character for a book. The character for the book must be a complete imposter. One of the most important stories of the whole family. What exactly are you hoping to get from it? Jargon, principally. A few tricks of the trade. I haven't been to a seance in years. I want to freshen my mind. Then it's not entirely new to you. Oh no. When I was a little boy, I used to have an aunt who used to come and stay with us. She imagined herself to be a medium. She went into the most elaborate trances after dinner. My mother was fascinated by it.
Was she convinced?
Oh God, no. She just naturally disliked my aunt and loved making a fool of her.
I gather there were never any tangible results.
Oh, she didn't do so badly on occasions. On one, we're all sitting in the dark, my mother groping her way to Beethoven at the piano. My aunt suddenly gave a shrill scream. She said she saw a black dog in my chair. Someone flipped on the lights, and sure enough, there it was.
But how extraordinary.
It's obviously a stray that had come from the street. But I must say, I did tip my hat off to Auntie for utilizing it, rather, producing it. The mother was a bit shaken up.
What happened to it?
They lived with us for years.
I sincerely call Madame McCarty for producing any livestock. There's a literary room in the house.
Do you think she tells fortunes? I love having my fortune told.
I expect so.
I was once told on the pier at South Sea that I was surrounded by lilies in a golden 7. You worried me for days.
We all must be serious, you know. Pretend that we believe implicitly. Otherwise, she won't play.
Also, she might really mind. It would be cruel to upset her.
I should be as good as gold.
Have you ever attended her, doctor? Professionally, I mean.
Yes, she had influenza in January. She's only been here just over a year, you know. I must say she was seemingly on a psychic thing. I always understood she was an author.
Well, that's right. We originally met as colleagues at one of Miss Wilmot's Sunday evenings in Sandgate.
What sort of books does she write?
There are 2 sorts. Rather whimsical children's stories of highly conventional flora and fauna, and enthusiastic biographies, minor royalties, extremely funny, very sentimental, and reverence.
Here she is.
She knows, doesn't she? About tonight? I'm not going to speak on to her.
Of course not. It's all arranged last week. Told her how profoundly interested I was with anything to do with the occult. She blossomed like a rose.
I really feel quite nervous, and so I were going to make a speech.
You go and meet her, darling?
I love my bike up against this little bush. It should be perfectly alright. No one touches it.
Madame McCarty, how nice of you to come all this way.
My dear Madame McCarty.
I'm afraid I'm rather late. I had a set of presentiment that I was going to have a puncture. So I went back to fetch my pump. And of course I didn't have a puncture at all.
Perhaps you were on the way home.
Dr. Bradman, the head of the dental hand. Oh, we're old friends. We meet each other coming out of shops.
Would you like a bourbon?
Yes, certainly. It was wonderful cycling through the woods this evening. I was deafened with bird songs.
It's been lovely all day.
But the evening's the time. Mark my words. Thank you. Cheers. Cheers.
Don't you find it very tiring bicycling everywhere?
On the contrary, it stimulates me. I was getting far too sedentary in London with that horrid little flats. The one with the dim lights, they just had to be dim, you know. The clients expect it.
I must say, I find bicycling very exhausting.
Steady rhythm, that's what counts. Once you get the knack of it, you need never look back. On you get and away you go.
But the hills, Madam McCarty, pushing up those awful hills.
Just knack again, and you're over the top like a flash. Up with the head and down with your heart. You're skimming down the other side like a dragonfly. This is the best drink I've had in years.
Do we have another?
Certainly.
Are you writing anything nowadays, Madam McCarty?
Every morning, regular clockwork 7 to 1.
It's a novel or memoir?
It's a children's book. I have to finish it before the end of October to cash in Christmas sales. The book is about very small animals. The hero's a moss beetle. I had to give up my memoir to Mrs. Poliantani because she died in April. She implored me to go on with it, but I really hadn't the heart.
You talked to her about it the other day.
Yes, through my control, of course. She sounded very irritable.
It is funny to think of people in the spirit world being irritable, isn't it? I mean, one can hardly imagine it, can one?
We have very less evidence of the afterlife being less exasperating than this one, have we?
Oh, Mr. Condamine, how can you?
I expect it's dreadfully ignorant of me not to know, but who is Princess Paliatani?
She was originally a Jewess from Odessa, quite remarkable beauty. It was a stated fact that people often used to stand on the seats of railroad stations to watch her whiz by.
Was she a keen traveler?
In her younger days, yes. Up until she married Mr. Clark in the consular service and settled down for a while.
How did she become Princess Paliatani?
That was some years later. Mr. Clark had passed over and left her penniless with 2 strapping girls.
How unpleasant.
So there was nothing for it but for her to obey the beckoning finger of adventure. So off she went to the road again, bag and baggage to Vladivostok.
What a wonderful place to travel.
She had cousins there. Some years later, she met old Poliatani, who had just returned from a secret mission in Japan. He was immediately staggered by her beauty. Some months later, he married her. From there on, her life became very interesting.
Actually, I've hardly described it as dull before.
What happened to the girls?
She neither saw them nor spoke to them for 23 years.
How extraordinary.
Nonsense, she was always erratic emotionally.
Yes, thank you, Edith. Shall we?
No red meat, I hope?
There's meat, but I don't think it'll be very red. Would you rather have an egg or something?
No, thank you. I just make it a rule never to eat red meat before work. It sometimes has an odd effect.
What sort of effect?
Oh, nothing of the least importance. If the meat isn't very red. Anyhow, we'll risk it.
Come along then. Mrs. Bradman, Madam McCarty, go on Charles Sprague.
Life would be a dream. Life would be a dream.
And on the other side, she was right back to the forges, which I think accounted for one way or another. Even as a child, she was given the most violent, disruptive tempers. Very inbred, you know.
Yeah, she must have been.
My control was quite scared of her the other day when we were talking. You could hear it in her voice. After all, she's only a child.
Do you always have a child to control?
Yes, they're generally the best. Some mediums for teenagers, of course, but I find them unreliable.
In what way unreliable?
Well, for one thing, they're frightfully lazy. When it comes to any sort of difficulty, they rather act off and go to their own tribal language, which is naturally unintelligible. Nothing is more satisfactory when working with children once they get to know you and understand your ways. Definitely has worked with me for years.
And she still goes on being a child? I mean, she doesn't show signs of growing any older.
Time values on the other side are utterly different from ours.
Do you feel funny when you go off into a trance?
What's way funny?
Mrs. Bradman didn't mean funny in its comic implication. I think she meant odd or strange.
Oh, the word was an unfortunate choice, really.
I'm sure. I'm very sorry.
Oh, don't apologize.
When did you first discover that you found these extraordinary powers?
When I was quite tiny, my mother was a medium before me, you know, so I had every opportunity for starting from the ground floor, as you might say. I was 4 years old when I had my first trance, and I was 5 and a half when I had my first manifestation. I shall never forget it. What an amazing day that was. Of course, the manifestation itself was small and of short duration. But to me, of my child of my tender years, it was most gratifying.
Your mother must have been so pleased.
She was.
Can you foretell the future?
Most certainly not. I disapprove of fortune tellers most strongly.
Oh, really? Why?
Too much guesswork and fate mixed up with it. Even when the gift is genuine, even then you can't even count on it.
Why not?
Time again. Time is a reef upon our frail mystic ships which are wrecked.
You mean because it has not yet been proved the past and the present and the future are not one and the same thing?
I long ago came to the conclusion that nothing could ever be definitely proved about anything.
How very wise. I want you to leave the dining room just as it is for tonight, Edith. You can clear the table in the morning. We do not want to be disturbed for any reason whatsoever for the next hour or so. Is that clear?
Yes.
And if anyone should telephone, just say we are out and take a message.
Unless it's an urgent call for George.
Unless it's an urgent call for Dr. Bradley.
Yes.
It's not likely to be one, is there?
No, I don't think so.
It won't matter. But one time, Mom, an interruption during the preliminary stages might be disastrous.
I wish the men would hurry up. I'm terribly excited.
Please don't be. It makes everything much, much more difficult.
Oh, Madam McCarty, time is drawing near.
Who knows? It may be receding.
How very true. Are you feeling in the mood, Madam McCarty?
It isn't a question of mood. It's a question of concentration.
You must forgive us for being quite impatient. We could perfectly easily wait until you're ready to start.
Nonsense, my dear. I'm absolutely ready. Hi-ho, to where we go.
Is there anything you'd like us to do?
Do?
Hold hands or anything?
All in good time. First, a few deep breaths of fresh air. Oh, you may talk if you wish. It will not disturb me in the least.
Oh dear.
An excellent dinner, darling. I congratulate you.
The moose wasn't quite right.
Yes, it did look a bit hysterical. It was delicious.
That cuckoo is very angry.
Beg your pardon.
I said the cuckoo is very angry. Listen.
How can you tell?
Tamper. No moon. That is well, I think. And I believe there is a mist rising from the marshes. Oh, there's no need for me to light my bicycle lamp, is there? I mean, there isn't likely anybody to run over it.
No, we weren't expecting anybody else.
Good night, you foolish bird. You have a table?
Yes, we thought that would do.
I think the one with the drinks on it would be better.
Change over. You told Edith we were not to be disturbed.
Yes, darling.
Oh, this is the moment I always hate.
Are you nervous?
Yes. When I was a child, I always used to be sick.
How fortunate you grew out of it.
Children are always much more prone to getting sick rather than grown-ups, aren't they? I know I could never travel by train in any degree of safety until I was 14.
Little Tommy Tucker, saints for a supper. What shall I have but brown bread and butter? I despise that because it doesn't rhyme at all, but Daphne loves it.
Who's Daphne?
Daphne's Madame McCarty's control. She's a little girl.
Oh, I see. Yes, of course.
How old is she?
Rising 7 when she died.
And when was that?
February 6, 1884.
Poor little
She
thing.
must be a bit long tooth by now, to think.
You should think, Dr. Bradman, but I'm afraid you don't. Well, at least not profoundly enough.
Do be quiet, George. Let him party off.
Nonsense, my dear. It's quite okay. I'm quite used to skeptics. They generally turn out to be receptive in the long run.
You better take that warning to heart, Dr. Bradman.
Please forgive me, Madam McCarthy. I can assure you I was deeply interested.
It is of no consequence. Now then, will you all sit around the table, please, and place your hands lightly on it?
Come, Mrs. Bradman.
Fingers should be touching. Now then, that's the gramophone over there, I presume, Mr. Condamine?
Yes, it's an electric one. Would you like me to start it?
No, thank you. I can manage. Let's see, what have we here? Brahms? Oh dear me, no. Rachmaninoff? Too florid. Where is the dance music?
There's a loose one on the left.
I'm afraid none of them are very new.
Daphne is a huge fan of Irene Berlin. She loves the tune she can hum. Oh, here's one. Always.
Always.
Do sit down, Charles. What is the matter?
The light switch is by the door, I presume?
Yes, all except the small one on the desk and the gramophone.
I understand. Now then, there are a few things that I should like to state. So will you all listen attentively, please?
Of course.
Presently, when the gramophone begins, I may either walk about the room or lie down flat. In due course time, I shall draw myself near you two and place myself between you and your wife, Mr. Condamine, and I will lightly place my hands upon yours. I must ask you not to react in any sort of way. Is that quite clear?
Perfectly.
Of course, many things may occur. Like we might summon an emanation, for instance. Or Daphne may be unavailable. Sadly, she has had a head cold recently. Poor child. Hopefully we don't summon a poltergeist, though. They're extremely destructive and annoying.
In what way destructive?
They throw things, you know.
No, I didn't know.
But we must cross that bridge when we come to it, mustn't we?
Certainly, by all means.
Fortunately, an elemental at this time is most unlikely.
What do elementals do?
They come in the form of cold wind, you know.
I don't think I shall like that.
Sometimes almost reaching hurricane velocity.
You don't think it would be a good idea to take a more grateful ornament onto that
I
before we start?
assure you, I have my own ways of dealing with elementals, Mrs. Condamine.
I'm so glad.
Now then, are you all ready to empty your minds?
You mean we should try to think of nothing?
Absolutely nothing, Dr. Bradman. Think of an empty space or a non-descriptive color. That's really the best way.
I'll do my damnedest.
Good work. I will now begin the gramophone.
Lights! Oh dear.
Now then, is there anyone there? Is there anyone there? One rap for yes, two raps for no. Now then, is there anyone there? Oh, shh! Is that you, Daphne? Are you feeling better, dear? Are you doing anything for it? Afraid she's rather fretful. Now then, Daphne! No! Don't do that, dear! Daphne, no! You're hurting me! Daphne, stop! There's a good child. Now then, you say there's somebody there who wishes to speak to somebody here? Is it Mrs. Bradman? Dr. Bradman? Is it Mrs. Condamine? Is it Mr. Condamine? There's somebody who wishes to speak to you, Mr. Condamine.
Tell him to leave a message.
I was asking not to be so flippant, Mr. Condamine!
Oh, how can you be so idiotic? You'll spoil everything.
I'm sorry.
Now then, do you know anybody who has recently passed over?
Not recently, except my cousin from the civil service, but he wouldn't likely want to talk to me. We haven't spoken for years.
Are you Mr. Condamine's cousin in the civil service? There's no one there. Can't you think of anybody else? Rack your brain!
It might be old Mrs. Pumpkin, you know. She died on Whit Monday.
Couldn't believe my old Mrs. Plummet want to talk to me. She had nothing in common.
It's worth trying anyhow.
Are you old Mrs. Plummet?
She was very deaf. Perhaps you better shout.
Are you old Mrs. Plummet?
Hello there. That was disappointing. Just as things were getting on so nicely.
Violet, be quiet.
Well, I guess there's nothing for it but for me to go into a trance. I was hoping this wouldn't come. They're extremely exhausting. Excuse me a minute while I begin the gramophone.
Not always. Please, don't play always.
Why ever not, Charles? Don't be absurd.
I'm afraid I must. Changing horses midstream will be imprudent. If you know what I mean.
Have it your own way.
When the things you plan
Oh, God! said, it is where it is.
Nonsense, dear.
I distinctly.
Well, nobody else did. Did they?
I didn't hear a sound.
Ventriloquism, that's what it is. It's ventriloquism.
What's the matter with you?
One of you must have heard something. One of you must have heard something.
I certainly didn't.
Neither did I. I wish I had. I should love to hear something.
It's you who are playing tricks on us, Charles. You're acting just to frighten us.
Not, I swear I'm not.
It's difficult on what to say after 7 years, but I suppose believing is as good as anything else.
Who are you?
Elvira, of course.
Can't bear this for another minute longer. Get up, everybody. Entertainment's over.
Oh! Oh, Charles! We're all going to enjoy ourselves.
Never again. All I can say, never again.
Oh dear! Look at Blythe McCarty! What are we to do with her?
Must bring her around as soon as possible.
I think we better leave her alone.
But she might stay like that for hours.
She's out alright.
Bring her around. It's dangerous to leave her like this.
Really, Charles, you're acting most peculiarly.
Get some bread. Give me some bread. Help me through the chair, Bradman.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's that.
Are you alright?
Certainly, I've never felt better.
Like some more brandy?
So that's a funny taste in my mouth. Well, really, Dr. Bradman, allow me them to give me brandy on top of a trance. I shan't sleep a week tonight.
No, I shan't.
However not.
The whole experience has left me unhinged.
Well, what happened?
Nothing much happened at Madame McCarty after you went off.
Are you sure? No poltergeist at any rate, I hope. No ectoplasm?
I'm not quite sure what that is, but I don't think so.
Are you really sure nothing happened? Nevertheless, I am sure to say that there is a psychic force in this house other than myself.
I don't see how there could really be Madame McCarty.
Well, I should really be on my way.
Would you like anything before you go?
Oh, no, thank you. I have some Ovaltine on the oven. It just needs some hotting up.
Would you like to leave your bicycle here and let us drive you?
I honestly think you should, Madame McCarty. You can't be fooling with yourself after that trance.
Nonsense, my dear. I feel as fit as a fiddle. A trance rejuvenates me. Goodbye, Miss Carmine. I'm so sorry. So little of her. It's that cold of Daphne's. I know it is. Well, you know how children are. When they're sick in any sort of way.
Yes. Yeah, that would be lovely.
Good night, Mrs. Bradman.
It was thrilling. It really was. I felt the tip absolutely shaking under my hands.
Bradman.
Congratulations, Madam McCarty.
You know, I could hear the irony in your voice. You make a great subject for a chum of mine. I'm likely to look you over.
I'm sure I should be charmed.
Oh, my purse. Thank you. Well, we must do this another evening and really put our backs into it. Good night, everyone.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Be careful, Mrs. Condamine. She might hear you.
I can't help it. I've been holding it in for ages.
She really put you in your place, George, and served you right.
She's raving mad, of course. Mad as a hatter.
But do you really think she believes?
Of course not. The whole thing's a put-up job. I must say, she shoots more of an original line than they generally do.
She's probably half convinced herself by now.
Maybe. The trance was genuine enough, but that, of course, was easily accounted for.
Hysteria?
Yes, a form of hysteria actually menacing.
I really do hope Mr. Condamine got all the atmosphere he wanted from his book.
You would have gotten a great deal more if he hadn't spoiled everything. I'm really very cross with him. I suddenly felt a draft. There must be a window open.
No, they should.
Perhaps it was one of those whatchamacallit that Madame McCarty was talking about.
I believe it was elementals.
Oh no, it couldn't possibly be. She said it was rough time of the year for elementals.
Oh, the old goes off pedaling at a hell of a speed. Had a bit of trouble lighting her lamp.
Poor thing.
I have a theory about her, you know. I believe she's completely sincere.
Charles, how could she be?
Couldn't it be, Doctor? Some sort of self-hypnosis?
It could be. As I was explaining to your wife just now, there are some type of historical
Do you want to
subject.
stare?
It's getting terribly late. We really must go home. We gotta get up so early in the morning.
See, the moment we get to talk about something that really interests me, my wife interrupts me.
You are my darling. It's past 11.
I was a little reading off a little bit some symptoms on it.
You must have a drink before you go.
Nothing new. Quite quite right, I'm afraid. I have to get up abominably early tomorrow. I have a patient going to be operated on in Sacramento.
Goodbye, Mrs. Underline. It was thrilling. I shall never forget it.
Goodbye.
It was sweet of you to include us.
Goodbye, Mrs. Conrad. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Sure about the drink.
Quiet show, thanks.
We'll let you know if we find a new poltergeist swirling about.
I shall never forget you if you didn't.
Come on, darling.
Well, darling,
Well,
would you say that this evening had been profitable?
yes, I said it was.
I must say it was extremely funny at moments.
Yes, it was.
What's the matter?
The matter?
Yes, you seem old somehow.
Nothing. I think I'll need a drink. You want one?
No, thank you, darling.
God, it's chilly in this room.
Come over by the fire.
I don't think I'll make any noise tonight.
Charles?
That was very clumsy, dear Charles, dear.
Elvira, so it's true. Was it you?
Of course it was.
Charles, what are you talking about?
You a ghost?
I suppose I am. It's all very confusing.
Charles, what do you keep looking over there for? Look at me, what's happened?
Don't you see?
See what?
Elvira.
Elvira?
Yes, dear Elvira, this is Ruth. Ruth, this is Elvira.
Come and sit down, darling.
You mean to say you can't see her?
I just want you to go sit quietly by the fire, and I'll mix you up another drink. Don't worry about the mess on the carpet. You can clean up in the morning.
But you must be able to see her. She's there. Look, she's right there in front of you.
Are you mad? What's happened to you?
You mean you can't see her?
This is a joke, dear. It's gone quite far enough. Sit down, for God's sakes, and don't be idiotic.
What the hell am I to do?
I suppose you must at least feel a little more pleased to see me. After all, you did conjure me up.
I didn't do any such thing.
Oh, nonsense. Of course you did. That child with the cold came to me and told me you wanted to see me urgently.
It was a mistake. It was all a horrible mistake.
Stop talking like that, Charles. As I told you before, the joke's gone far enough.
I'm mad. That's what it is. Con raving man.
Here, drink this.
This is appalling.
Relax.
I'm not gonna relax. I should never be able to relax for the rest of my life.
Drink some brandy.
See now, are you satisfied?
Now sit down.
Why are you so eager for me to sit? What good would that do?
I want you to relax. You can't relax standing up.
Australian natives can. They can stand on one leg for hours.
I don't happen to be Australian native.
You don't happen to be a what?
Australian native.
What's that got to do with it?
It doesn't matter. Truly, it doesn't matter. See? Say no more about it. Stop.
Would you like some more brandy?
Yes, please.
Very unwise, dude. You've always had a weak head.
I could drink you under the table.
There's no need to be aggressive, Charles. I'm doing my best to help you.
I'm sorry.
Here, now drink this and then we'll go to bed.
Ugh, get rid of her, Charles. Then we can talk in peace.
That's a thoroughly immoral suggestion. You gotta be ashamed of yourself.
What is there immoral in that?
I wasn't talking to you.
Who were you talking to then?
Elvira, of course.
To hell with Elvira! no, she's getting cross.
I don't blame her.
What don't you blame her for?
Oh, God.
Now look here, Charles. I gather that you've got some sort of plan behind all this and not quite a fool. I suspected you during that idiotic seance.
Don't be so silly. What plan could I have?
I don't know. It probably has to do something with the characters in your book, how they or one of them might react to a certain situation. I refuse to be used as a guinea pig unless I'm told beforehand what it's all about.
Elvira is here, Ruth. She's standing a few yards away from you.
Yes, darling, I can see her distinctly. Under the table with the zebra.
Oh, Ruth.
I'm not going to take your argument about this any longer.
Hooray!
Shut up.
How dare you speak to me like that?
Listen, Ruth.
No, I'm not going to listen to any more of this nonsense. I'm going up to bed. I shan't be asleep. I'm far too upset. So you can come in and say goodnight to me if you feel like it.
Let's beg your pardon, must say.
Be quiet. You're behaving like a gutter snipe.
That's all I have to say. Goodnight, Charles.
Ruth.
That was one of the most enjoyable half hours I have ever spent.
Oh, Elvira. How could you?
Poor Ruth.
This is obviously a hallucination.
You do know, I don't know the technical term for it.
You do here indefinitely?
I don't know that either.
Oh, my God.
Why? Would it be so bad if I was?
We must admit, it would be embarrassing.
I don't see how. It's all a question of adjusting yourself.
Anyhow, I think it's horrid of you to be so disagreeable and unwelcoming.
Now look here, Elvira.
I do.
This is my point, little dear. You've been dead for 7 years and I've been married to Ruth for 5.
Dead? Not dead, Charles. Passed over. It's vulgar to say dead where I come from.
Passed over then.
Pretense. You must make some changes to be at least amiable about it.
Of course, my dear. I'm delighted in one way.
I don't believe you love me anymore.
I always loved the memory of you.
You mustn't think me unreasonable, Charles, but I really am hurt. You called, and at a great inconvenience I came, and you've been thoroughly cherished ever since I come back.
Believe me, Elvira, I most sympathetically did not send for you. It was a mistake.
But somebody did, and that child said it was you. I remember. He was playing backgammon with a sweet old Asian man. I believe his name was Genghis Khan. I had just double sixes, and then that child page, and then the next thing I knew, I was in this room. Maybe it was your subconscious.
Isn't there somebody that can take you back?
I don't think so.
Try to think. Is there someone on the side that you can come in contact with?
I can't think. It seems so far away as though I dreamt it.
You must know someone besides Genghis Khan.
Charles,
What's the matter?
I want to cry, but I can't.
You want to cry for?
It's seeing you again and you being so irascible like you used to be.
You be irascible, Elvira. Just
It's okay, darling. Don't mind. Never really did.
is it cold? You need to go?
No, I don't think so.
What happens if I touch you?
I doubt if you can. Do you want to?
Oh, Elvira.
What is it, darling?
I really do feel strange seeing you again.
That's better.
What's better?
Your voice was kinder.
Was I ever unkind to you when you were alive?
Often.
How can you? That must be an exaggeration.
Nonsense! You were an absolute pig the time we went to Cornwall. You hit me with a billiard cue.
Only very, very gently.
I did love you very much.
I love you too. No, I can't touch you. Isn't that horrible?
Perhaps it's as if I say it any length of time.
I suppose I shall wake up eventually, but now I'm rather peaceful.
There. Lay your head back in the room.
Like this.
Do you feel anything?
A slight breeze through my hair.
Well, that's better than nothing.
I suppose if I really am out of my mind, throw me to the silent.
Don't think about it. Just relax.
Or
To hell.
See the marketplace in old Algiers.
good morning, darling.
Good morning, Charles.
It certainly is
That certainly is what?
a good morning. Tremendous good morning. It's not a cloud in the sky and everything looks really well.
He is keeping your breakfast hot. You better ring.
Anything interesting in the Times?
Don't be silly, Charles.
I'm to the work all day.
Good.
It's very interesting about the daylight, isn't it?
How do you mean?
Way it reduces everything to normal.
Does it?
Yes, it does.
I'm sure I'm very glad to hear it.
You're very glacial this morning.
Are you surprised?
Frankly, yes. Expecting more.
Well, really.
I always saw upon you as a woman of perception and understanding.
Perhaps this is one of my off days.
Good morning, Edith.
Good morning, sir.
Feeling fit?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
How's Cook?
Sure, sir. Yes, sir.
You should. Should begin the day by asking everyone how they are. It always Lolitos. Greet her, will you?
Yes, sir.
That'll be all for the moment, Edith. I wish you wouldn't be so flippant with the servants, Charles. It confuses them and undermines their morale.
And the point of view retrogressive, not downright futile.
I don't care what you consider it. I have to run the house and you don't.
Are you implying that I couldn't?
You're at liberty to try.
Take back what I said about it being a tremendous morning. It's a horrible morning.
You better eat your breakfast while it's hot.
It's not.
Now look here, Charles. In your younger days, its display of roguish flippancy might have been alluring, but in a middle-aged novelist, it's nauseating.
Would you like me to ride to your feet in a frenzy of self-humiliation?
That would be equally as nauseating and certainly more appropriate.
I really don't see what I've done that's so horrible.
You behaved abominably last night. You wounded and insulted me.
I was a victim of a haunting.
Nonsense, you were drunk.
Drunk.
You had 4 dry martinis before dinner, a great deal too much burgundy at dinner, heaven knows how much port in common with Dr. Bradman, and while I was trying to entertain that mad woman, and then 2 double brandies later, I gave them to you myself. Of course you were drunk.
So that's your story, is it?
You refused to come to bed, and finally, at 3 in the morning, when I came down to see what had happened to you, I found you in an alcoholic coma, on the sofa with the fire put out and your hair all over your face.
I wasn't in the least drunk. Something happened to me last night. Something in particular happened to me. I just thought I had some sort of hallucination.
Nonsense.
It isn't nonsense. It seems like nonsense now, in clear remorse light of day, but last night was far from being nonsense. I just thought I had a sort of hallucination.
You were drunk.
I was not drunk.
You claimed to hear Elvira's voice.
I was appalled when I heard her voice.
And nobody else did.
I can't help that. I didn't.
You couldn't have.
And later on, I was equally convinced that I saw her in this room. I heard her voice. I was appalled.
I can't say this anymore. I really can't.
I know what it is. You're frightened.
Frightened? Rubbish. What is there to be frightened of?
Oh, Elvira. Even if I had been all that drunk, you wouldn't have minded that much. It's only because it was mixed up with Elvira.
I seem to remember clearly before dinner last night telling you that your view on female psychology was rather didactic. I was right. I should have added that they were childish.
Women, my God, what I think of women.
Your view on women is academic to say the least of it. Just because you've always been dominated by them doesn't necessarily follow that you know anything about them.
I've never been dominated by anyone.
You were hybrided by your mother until you were 23. And then you got into the clutches of that awful Mrs. whatever her name was.
Just smooth job, good one.
I'm not interested. And then there was Elvira. She ruled you with a rod of iron.
Elvira never ruled anyone. That was one of her greatest charms.
And then there was Maud Chauderice.
My affair with Ma Chauderice lasted exactly 7 weeks. She cried all the time.
The tyranny of tears. Then there was...
If you wish to make an inventory of my sex life, dear, it's only fair to say that you missed out several episodes. I'll consult my diary and give you the complete list after lunch.
It's no use trying to impress me with your routine amorous exploits.
The only woman in my life who's ever tried to dominate me is you. You've been at it for years.
That is completely untrue.
Oh no, it isn't. You boss me and bully me and order me about. You don't even allow me to have a hallucination if I want to.
Charles, up the hell would ruin your whole life if you allowed me to hold of you, you know.
Once and for all, Ruth. I'd like to explain to you that whatever happened last night was nothing whatever to do with alcohol. You've orderly rationalized the whole affair to your own satisfaction, but your deductions are based on complete fallacy. I'm willing to grant you some sort of hallucination brought on by suggestion or hypnosis, but I was stone cold sober to first to last and completely upset with the whole party.
You were upset indeed. What about me?
You behaved with an obtuse lack of comprehension, and frankly, that shocked me.
I consider that I was remarkably patient. I shall know better next time.
Instead of putting out a friendly hand to guide me, you shout us a code of orders like a sergeant major.
You seem to forget that you unfairly insulted me.
I did not.
You called me a brat. You told me to shut up. And when I finally quietly suggested that we go to bed, you said with the most disgusting look that it was an immoral suggestion.
I was talking to Elvira.
If you were, I can only say that it conjured up a fragrant picture of your first marriage.
My first marriage was perfectly charming. It's in the worst possible taste for you to sneer at.
I'm not nearly so interested in your first marriage as you think I am. It's your second marriage is absorbing me at the moment. It seems to be on the rocks.
Only because you insist on taking up this ridiculous attitude.
My attitude is that of any normal woman whose husband gets drunk and hurls abuse at her.
I was not drunk.
Be quiet, they'll hear you in the kitchen.
I don't care if they hear me down at books and all. I was not drunk.
Control yourself, Charles.
How can I control myself in your face? Your damn stubbornness. It's giving me claustrophobia.
Better ring up Dr. Bradman. Yes, Edith.
Who wants to know my lunch bill?
Will you be into lunch, Charles?
Please, don't worry about me. She perfectly found a bottle of gin in my bed.
Don't be silly, dear. Tell Cook we shall both be in.
Yes.
I'm going into town this morning. Is there anything you want?
Yes, a great deal, but I doubt if you can get it in town.
Tell Cook to put Alka-Seltzer down on my list. Will you need it?
Yes.
It's clouding over.
You have a genius for understatement.
Look at the table where it is. I'll put it away.
Yes.
Please, Ruth, be reasonable.
I'm perfectly reasonable.
I honestly thought I had heard Elvira's voice.
You couldn't have.
I know I couldn't have.
it for 5 years.
When I heard her voice, I had the shock of my life.
I'm willing to concede then that you imagined you did.
That's what I've been trying to explain to you for hours.
Well, then there's obviously something wrong with you.
Yes, there's something wrong. There's something fundamentally wrong with me.
You had been drinking, Charles. Don't deny that.
No more than usual.
Did you feel quite well yesterday? During the day?
Of course.
What did you have for lunch?
Gotta know you had it with me.
Let me see now. There was lemon sole and that cheese thing.
Why should having a cheese thing make me see my deceased wife after dinner?
You never know. It was rather rich.
Why did you see your dead husband just as much as I did?
This isn't getting us anywhere at all.
And it won't, as long as you keep describing supernatural phenomena to call analytic irritation.
Supernatural grandma.
I must admit, she would have been less irritating.
How do you feel now?
Physically, do you mean?
Altogether.
Apart from being worried, I feel quite normal.
You're not seeing or hearing anything in the least unusual?
I don't think.
You've absolutely ruined the border by the sundial. It looks like a mixed salad.
Oh my god.
What's the matter now?
She's here again.
Who's here again?
Elvira.
Pull yourself together and don't be absurd.
It's all those nasturtiums. They seem so vulgar.
I like nasturtiums.
You like what?
They're all right in moderation, but in a mass like that, they would be sweet.
Help me, Ruth. You must help me.
What do you mean about nasturtiums?
Never mind that. I'll tell you, she's here again.
You've been having quite a scene, haven't you? I could hear you right down from the garden.
Please mind your own business.
If you behaving like a lunatic isn't my business, nothing is.
I suppose it was about me. I ought to feel sorry, but I don't. I'm delighted.
It's so inconsiderate.
Inconsiderate? I like that, I must say.
Ruth, please, darling.
I've been doing my level best to control myself, and I control myself admirably. Now, I'd like to say here and now that I don't believe a word about your damn hallucination. You're up to something, Charles. There's been a certain murderous in your manners for weeks. Why don't you just be honest and tell me what it is?
You're wrong. You're dead wrong. I haven't been the least furtive.
You're trying to upset me. For some obscure reason, you're trying to goad me into doing something that I might regret.
Please, Ruth.
No, don't come near me.
Let her have a nice cry. It'll do her some good.
How can you be so heartless?
Heartless?
I was talking to Elvira.
Go on. Talk to her then. Talk to her until you're blue in the face, but don't talk to me.
Help me, Elvira.
How?
Make her see you or something.
I don't think I can manage that. It's technically the most difficult business out there, you know. Frightfully complicated. You know, it takes years of study.
You are here, right? You're not an illusion?
I may be an illusion, but I am most definitely here.
How did you get here?
I told you last night. I don't know.
Well, in the future, you must make a promise to me that you only come and see me when I'm alone.
How unkind you are making me feel. So unwanted. I've never been treated so rudely.
Try to see my point a little.
I don't.
How do you expect people to believe this?
You'd be surprised how gullible people are. They often laugh about it on the other side.
Charles,
Yes, dear.
I'm awfully sorry I was cross.
My dear.
I understand everything now. I really do.
You do.
Of course I do.
Look out, she's up to something.
What?
Of course, darling. We'll all be quiet, won't we? We'll be quiet as little mice.
Ruth, dear.
I want you to come upstairs with me and go to bed.
The way that woman harps onto bed is nothing short of erotic.
I'll deal with it later.
Very well, darling. Let's go.
What are you up to?
I'm not up to anything. I just want you to go upstairs, quietly to bed, and wait there until Dr. Bradley comes.
No, Ruth, you're wrong.
Come, dear.
She'll have you in a straitjacket before you know where you are.
Help me. You must help me.
My dear, I would, but I don't see how.
I can. Ruth,
Yes, dear?
I promise to go up with you. Let me stay down here 5 minutes longer.
I really think it would be better.
Bear with me. No matter how mad it seems, just bear with me 5 minutes longer.
Very well, darling. What is it?
Sit down.
All right? There.
Ruth, I want to explain to you that without a shadow of a doubt, however you like to call it, my first wife is in this room now.
Yes, dear.
And I know you don't believe me, you're trying to vanity humor me, but I intend to prove it to you.
Have a cigarette. Something works.
I want a cigarette.
Then you shall have one, darling.
Promise to do what I ask.
It all depends on what it is.
You see that bowl of flowers behind me?
Yes, I did it myself this morning.
Very untidy, if I may say so myself.
You may not.
Very well. I will never will again.
Elvira will now take that bowl of flowers to the mantelpiece and back again. Won't you, Elvira? Just to please me.
I don't see why. You've been thoroughly churlish ever since I materialized.
Please.
All right. Just this once. Not that I approve of any of these masculine or Devion carry-ons.
Now, Ruth, watch carefully.
Very well done.
Go on, Elvira. Take it to the mantelpiece. Back again.
You must be ashamed of yourself!
One on the fourth.
It's a trick! I know perfectly well it's a trick! You're trying to drive me out of my mind!
It's not. I swear it isn't. Elvira, do something else for God's sake.
Oh, of course, anything so glad. You're cruel and sadistic and I will never forgive you!
Whoop!